Hello everybody. I know it has been a while since my last video, and doing this one has several reasons. First, many of you have written to me and asked how I was, if all was good with me, and thanks for asking, and yes, I'm fine and all is good. Second, on July the 30th, 2019, Blender 2.8 went from beta to a stable version, and I thought it's time to give it another try. I played around with Blender maybe 10 years ago, and the user interface drove me almost crazy because nothing would behave like any other application I knew so far. But I must say Blender 2.8 is completely different. It looks like a new application. The 2.8 user interface is well made, even intuitive, and I thought keeping my brain cells alive in my age, I'm 71 now, by learning a new 3D package is not a bad idea. In addition, I think MODO has been a role model for many of the new features in Blender. Third, and don't get me wrong, I still love MODO, but I completely disliked when the Foundry went to the current subscription-based licensing model. So here we go. There are so many really good Blender 2.8 user interface tutorials out. I put some links in the description that I decided to do something different. I will model something and explain along the way what I'm doing. So here we go. Get the splash screen back. This is what you should see when you first open Blender. And if you want to watch this splash screen movie, I would really recommend doing it because it shows you what Blender can do and how powerful it really is. And I have put a link in the description. As soon as you click somewhere, it will disappear. And you see here, you can see what buttons I press and what mouse keys I press. If you want the splash screen back, you can go to here and get it back. Okay, now the first thing I do is edit the preferences and go up with the resolution scale to 1.2, so it is better readable. And as you could see, you can change almost everything. You can really customize Blender to your likes. But let's first see the major differences. One of the major differences, and this is the one which got me most, is in MODO, when nothing is selected, then everything is selected. In Blender, when nothing is selected, then there is nothing selected. So you have to select something in order to do something with it. Then the second thing is, in Blender, the axes are X and Y are the horizontal ones, Z is the vertical one, and in MODO it's X and Z for horizontal and Y in vertical, which I think do not have many 3D packages. Now the next thing which is different is Blender is always in a two-sided view. So if I go inside this cube, you see we can see. And if you don't like this, then you can go to the shading settings and enable backface culling, and then you have it as it is in MODO. But I must say I quite like seeing both sides all the time. I think it makes life easier. So, okay, first things first, basic movements. The middle mouse button gets quite important here in Blender. If you just click the middle mouse button, then you can move the object. If you shift click, then you can pan the screen. If you control click and middle mouse button, then you can zoom in and zoom out. The same happens when you use the mouse wheel. Now, the next thing is, if you want to move an object, there are several ways to do it, but I show the simple ones. So you can click on this move button, and when you then all these arrows appear, or you can learn the shortcut for it, which is G for grab. So I could go back to where we were at the beginning and disable these things. Then I select G, and then I tell Blender on what axis I want to move, so GY, and right click resets the position to 0, or GZ and we will move in the Z direction, or GY and we move in the Y position, and as always right button resets the move. Okay, then let's start with modeling something, and to delete this cube I press X and delete. With Shift A I can add new objects, and I use a circle, and on the bottom left here you see the properties of this circle, and I make another one with 3 sides. Now I move from object mode, which is comparable to MODO's item mode. I move to edit mode by using the tab key. So you see we are in edit mode, and you see that vertices are selected. If I hit the 2 key, I select edges. If I hit the 3 key, I select polygons, or faces, how it's called here in Blender. And this is exactly the same as you are used to from MODO. So with A, I select everything. With Alt A, I deselect everything. Let's press A again, and I would like to bevel these vertices. Now, you see here we have menu items which are representative to the mode we are in. So if I click on vertex, we get this bevel vertex options, or we could have a shortcut Shift Control B, or if this is too cumbersome, I think I need 2 hands to do it, then I have the possibility to right click on this and click on Add to Quick Favorites, which is a great feature. So I click on this, and now if I press the Q key, you see my quick favorites come up, and I have bevel vertices here inside. I can click on it and then press or drag the cursor, and if I use the mouse wheel, I can control on how many bevels I get. But here I want to have about 20 segments, and now I go to Edge Mode, select all these edges with A, Shift D to duplicate, then I right click to activate the tool, and then I can scale this out to about here. Now I would like to make a circle with this, and this means I go back to Edit Mode, Preferences, or Edit Preferences, and you see here we have a thing called add-ons, and there are tons of add-ons. There are even more which are not automatically delivered with Blender, but the one I'm looking for is Loop Tools, which is this one, and I just have to click this and it's activated and installed. Now I can right click, and if I right click, and depending on what mode I am, if I'm in edit mode or object mode, these tools will be different, or these right click options will be different. So Loop Tools, Circle, and I made a circle. Now I can Shift Alt left click on the other object and right click, and then go to Bridge Edge Loops, and you see we have a nice bridge. Now the people who know my tutorials from MODO, they know I have an approach which is called 2D to 3D, and this is a typical example of doing something like this. So Alt left click selects an edge loop around here, then F to fill this or to face this. In MODO it would be P for polygon, here it's F for face. So then I Alt left click this here, then S for scale, and scale it. No. I right click to reset, then I Shift D. No. Then I press E to extrude, right click to activate the extrude, S to scale it out, and then I can press E again, extrude in Z direction, pull it down a bit, and then with this edge is still selected, I press the F key and put the face in here. Now I go to polygon mode or face mode and Alt left click select these and Shift, Alt, left click, select these, then E to extrude, and if we get this blue axis, it means we don't have to give the direction. Blender knows what direction we want to extrude, and so I extrude this up to here, about. Okay, now I go back to Edge mode, select the Alt, left click this here and X, and then say dissolve edges. This is something you will learn very quickly from experience when you dissolve something and when you have to delete it. But it opens quite interesting options which I might show in a later tutorial. So now I left click, Alt, left click on these edges to select the loop, then press Q, no, then I press Ctrl B for bevel, and bevel this into about here, and we don't need 20 segments, I think 10 should be plenty, like this. Then I can Alt left click on this edge and dissolve it. Now Ctrl Z. We probably have something wrong and it was my fault. So, but that's quite good that this happens because it allows me to show you some other things. First I select everything, then I go to Mesh, Clean Up, Merge by Distance, and here you can see it has removed 126 vertices, and if you would like to have this Merge by Distance in your quick favorites, just select it, and if you press Q now, we have Bevel Vertices and Merge by Distance. Okay, let's see if we can select it now. So Alt left click, no, doesn't work, we still have a problem, and this might have to do with the normals. So let's click on here and look at face orientation, and you see here the red ones are properly oriented and the blue ones are not. So I select these polygons, then press Ctrl and numpad add, and you see this is something as we are used from MODO with the up arrow key, and now we can go to Mesh, Normals, Flip, and now everything should be alright, and I can select these, oh, wrong key, and now we should be able to select these edges and dissolve them. Okay, now before we continue, I would like to show you another very interesting feature which Blender has, and it's called, we don't need to see the face orientation, it's called Select Sharp Edges. And here you can decide yourself what sharpness you would like to have. But the 30 degrees is usually quite good. So now it has selected all these outer edges and we can bevel them. So Control B. And if you want to have more control, you can press the Shift key down and then bevel this a little. And here we still have the 10 segments. I only want 2 and I want the profile to be 1. And now it's exactly like the sharp option in the bevel from MODO. So we have made something. It might be a screw or something, a special screw which is not supposed to be opened by normal consumers as we are. And next I tap to object mode and you see our object now. And Blender has a feature which is called Shade Smooth, which gives you a nice smooth shading without using subdivision surfaces. So here this object has probably the absolute minimum of faces and looks pretty perfect. If you want to have a closer look at it, you can go to here, select Matte Cap, which is a material capture, and that's the wrong one. Again the wrong one. We have several different ones, and this one here is especially unforgiving, and you will see everything which is not done well. So I think for the time being this is a start. I will upload some additional similar tutorials which I hope will help you to get up and running with Blender if you are interested at all. I think it is a great piece of software and they have added really a lot of new features. So thanks for watching, take care and see you some other time. Bye bye for now.